your host, Guru Brando, and co-host, my wife, Lady Elizabeth. And you know I say it now because I don't trust that you're going to say it. I think you're just going to say Elizabeth or Beth.
Probably.
So that's why I don't even let you say it anymore. Okay, so we got lots of stuff to talk about. And we got questions to answer. And hopefully we have comments to sort through. Let's see if we can get this jigger working. And it says live. And there we are. So I have to mute the thingy. Crap. Oh. Oopsie. I have to sign in. Look at that. It's making me sign in my own website.
Is it funny that it says, oops, I did it again?
Yes, that's funny. I entitled that. So, anywho's, okay, what I want to talk about today is how aware are you of me and how aware am I of you and kind of our choices we make and what we like. And you know we're coming on 15 minutes early, so we're ahead of the crowd.
Yeah.
So, only the true loves of us are going to come on right now because they know we're on. Okay. So let's see who we get. And we have to bring up comments because I want comments. Okay. Anywho. So how aware of you am I? So how well do you think I know you? Ooh, this is like the newlywed game. You remember that? When they would ask people questions?
I need a card to hold up.
Yeah. And at some point we'll have to say whoopee. Remember?
Yeah.
They always said whoopee.
Yes.
Said making whoopee. Isn't that a dessert? Whoopie pie or something like that? I think it is. I want answers, folks.
I've only heard of Whoopi and Whoopi Goldberg. and
Whoopee cushions. We've had a lot of fun with whoopee cushions.
Yeah.
Man, did we get off track a lot or what? Shit. Okay, so speaking of whoopee cushions.
Going down this tributary.
So, one of my favorite American Dad episodes is where Stan, or sometimes Staniel, depending on Francine's mood, he made this restaurant that was like quirky themed. Like I don't even. It's a family restaurant that has quirky crap, right? Okay, so in amongst this quirky crap is his use of a whoopee cushion for a bar stool seat. Okay, and so this guy comes in and he sits down and the whoopee cushion goes off. And he sort of looks like this and stands all, it's a whoopee cushion, and he goes, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's like that. When I hear whoopee cushion, that's what I think of is, no, it's not. So, anywho's, whoopie's also a dessert. Newlywed game. You and I were talking about how aware we are of each other. And I asked, how aware do you think I am of you?
Right.
Be honest, because you're alive and people know.
What, like a percentage?
Sure, Beth, give me a percentage. I don't know. Just tell me. What do you think that I'm aware?
Yeah. Yeah, you're aware of me, yeah. How aware of me?
Yeah, quantify me. Don't just qualify me. Quantify me. Because, we're kind of strange people.
Yeah.
And so because we've had sort of dysfunctional kind of upbringings and such, and we check out periodically.
Mm-hmm.
When you suffer anxiety, depression, PTSD, that happens, right? You disassociate periodically, kind of like sometimes you go out to lunch, sometimes you eat at home, right? Okay, so...
Out to lunch for sure.
Exactly. So we've been that way before.
Yes.
So even though we've been together almost 20 years, can you believe it?
Gosh.
I know.
Seems like just yesterday.
And we're weird folks because we did the old switcheroo, and you became you and I became me. As opposed to I was you for a long time and you were me for a long time. We were both closeted.
Yeah.
And so as long as we were withholding from everyone else, we could keep it together. And so I was at home the husband, the dominant type role, and you were submissive, even though outside the home you were a soldier and I was a housewife.
Yeah.
We knew who we were, but we
Right.
finally did the old switcheroo, right?
Yes.
Okay. So after we did the old switcheroo, sometimes you were gone, sometimes you were home, and sometimes we were both totally disassociated, right? We didn't know what was going on. We were living moment to moment. We just recently started to know each other again. Because let's face it, you deployed a lot. You know, I mean, it was a long time for us.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how many times you leave, it matters how long you stay away. That's what I found out, because you could leave every single day and go to work and come back home every single night and you're not affected by it.
Yeah. It feels like I mean, I came back from the last deployment into almost 2009. It was like very, very last couple of days of 2008. But I don't really feel like I, really got back.
Right, yeah.
Until really just a couple of years ago when I started to get myself together.
Yeah, we don't feel like you really came back either, but now, we do. We feel more like a family, at least I do. We don't just feel like roommates, It feels like real, I think, like how it was in the beginning. And it's only because now we're not checking out all the time.
Yeah.
Like when you piss me off, I tell you pissed me off. I don't go and hide and go, oh no, she's pissed off at me, she's going to hurt me, because that's what my victimization told me, right? And you didn't know that. All you saw was I was an OCD wreck that had to fuss with everything that was near me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, all I saw from you was somebody who was antisocial, anti-people, and I'm a very social person. Even though I have OCD, it's a good distraction, right? To have other people in your life. And you were a hermit. And so I had to make excuses for you all the time, right?
I think recluse is probably the more apt word, because I wasn't just by myself.
Right.
I, tried to make it, by myself. Tried to always, people get away from me.
Yeah, people were too scary. Don't vape. So in all that scariness, you sort of lost who you were, right?
Yeah.
So what was your perception of yourself then? Speaking of PTSD,
Broken.
y'all check out the Wounded Warrior Project, because y'all can donate and volunteer for them and help out the families of wounded warriors. Anyway, go ahead.
I just said broken.
Okay, so broken. Now, how do you think you do? How often do you feel like you're broken?
Oh. Hardly ever, really. I mean, unless I screw up and I'm not aware of myself.
And that's what it is, right? What you said.
Yeah,
Awareness.
and then I end up in a depression that I'm in the middle of before I realize I'm even there.
Okay, so you can recognize, you have awareness, self-awareness, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I have that too now. I have some self-awareness. Not a lot, but a little. And so I know whenever I'm being fussy and anxious, I can identify my triggers and I can step through the process. So I can stay grounded and present. I do this technique called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it engages all your senses.
Yeah.
And that helps me to not have those OCD moments where I check out and I start running a pre-programmed script.
Yeah.
And it makes me fuss with stuff. It makes me feel unsafe, and it makes me feel like everything around me is going to collapse if I don't do the certain ritual. And I know that you have things like that, like the social anxiety, like needing to know all your surroundings and gather essentially all the intel.
Yeah.
That's what you do, right?
Yeah.
You gather all the intel and you put it together that tells you whether you're in a hot zone or not.
You gotta read the battlefield.
Right. So every place you go is a new battlefield. So how do you come out of that now? I said I use the 5, 4, 3, 2 technique. What do you do?
I have a small mantra that I
thought you were gonna say mind.
that I say to myself when I'm losing it.
Is it I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it?
No, it's just as simple, though. It's just as simple.
What is it?
I am here, I am now.
Oh my god, I thought you were gonna say queer.
Nope.
I
I'm
always
here, I'm
ask,
now,
yeah,
and then that brings me back.
I ask myself when I come out of it in order to process through it, I always say, do I deserve this? Do I deserve this situation right now that I'm in? Because whenever I ask myself that, I'm going to be honest with myself. I can't like pretend, because I'm me. I'm asking me the question. So I say, do I deserve this? And when I say, do I deserve this? The answer is usually yes. Yes, you do. Because if I'm putting that intention or that effort or that meaning behind what I'm doing, I deserve it. It doesn't matter what my intention or meaning is. If I put the action forth, then I should get the return, right?
Yeah.
So if you put something in motion that is less than the best for you, you're going to get less than the best for you back.
Yes.
Right? And sometimes on a grand scale, it depends on how many times you've repeated the cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a repeat offender.
Yeah.
I just keep
so,
those lessons coming. I'm going to keep running my head into it as fast as I can.
Right, because you don't start to heal until you hit that rock bottom. You hit that rock bottom, and that's you finally hitting that wall going, oh, shit, something needs to change. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I became aware of you years and years and years ago. Right? Because I didn't disassociate quite as much. I wasn't in battle. I was at home battling my own demons, but I was managing mine, right? I was managing mine because I was on antidepressants at the time. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I had a leg up because I swear to you, the Army gives every Army wife antidepressants. And so here I was on antidepressants and I could see a little clearer. I wasn't smoking pot then. I was keeping it together. Okay, so as I was keeping it together, you were falling apart. You weren't there. So I think a lot about you early on. I think I know the least about you most recently. Because I disassociated most recently just when Mom died.
Right.
Right? So I checked out again during that whole process of family turmoil. And so I don't know as much about you in the moment.
Well, that's fair because I'm learning new stuff about me. It's like we were talking about a few minutes ago that what changes have happened, as far as thoughts and desires and flavors and things like that you like or dislike. How has that changed since?
Oh, yeah. We were just talking about that.
Since we, got equalized on the hormones that worked for us.
Okay, well, let's talk about the hormone things for a second. Because you recently got your levels tested and discovered that, holy crap, they're way off.
Yeah, my hormones are way off right now.
Okay.
Like, ridiculously off.
So talk a little bit about that.
Well, I was under the impression when we went to the first couple of appointments and when we first started the transition, go to an appointment, and then they would draw my blood and give me my prescription. And I think it started out with a half a pill of estrogen or estradiol. And
it's funny, it looks like you're twisting your nipples because you're doing this. Tune in Tokyo. Okay, sorry, go ahead. I just saw nipple twisting and it messed me up for a minute. Aren't you glad you watched the show? I can't help it. You were talking about your hormones and you were saying a pill.
9 months at the time, I can't remember which.
Okay.
And they said, okay, I was under the impression what they had given me at that point, which was a pill and a half, my maintenance dose. And it apparently was not, because when I got it's way too high.
Okay. So right now you're setting at triple what you need to be, right?
Right.
Okay, so you've been a nightmare. I love you.
Well, it explains a lot.
Well, it does explain a lot. I'm checking the feed to make sure everything's a go.
Like, God,
so
why can't I get right? Why do I keep going mental? What is my freaking
Okay,
deal?
so we gave a little background behind the hormone thing just because what the question was, do you think that I'm more aware of you now?
Yeah.
And we were talking about that, why you feel like I'm more aware now than before, and you're more aware of each other.
Yeah, I think mostly that comes with, when you became aware of yourself, and then you showed me how to be aware of myself.
Really, you can't mute a phone. You never can mute a phone.
It's an alarm.
killing me, Smalls. You're
It
killing
was
me.
Lucas's homework.
You're killing me, Smalls. Killing me. Anyway, carry on. Proceed. What were you saying? I'm checking my phone while you're talking because somebody's blowing it up.
What was I saying?
I don't know because I was distracted totally.
Can they hear us? I hope.
I don't know. That's why I'm checking, honestly. Okay, so you need to keep talking about what you were talking about. We were talking about awareness. I was talking about, do you feel like I know you more now? And we were talking about disengagement. What?
Oh, gosh. I think it was something about, I had said that you'd become aware of yourself, before I became aware of myself. And then you showed me how to become aware of myself. And it's funny is because a lot of things in my life have been black and white. And so I think of, you're either aware or you're not aware. And where in fact it's actually, you have levels of awareness that you go through.
Would you say 7 levels?
For me, I was probably thinking maybe 700.
Okay, that's not fair. You're not being fair to yourself. Now, carry on.
And so,
don't vape.
I have setbacks from time to time. Something happens, something ticks with me wrong, and I have a meltdown. And but each time I come away from it with new knowledge and how to help myself.
Okay, so in you becoming more aware, you think that you just acknowledge my awareness now. Not that I've necessarily become more aware of you, but you've been more present.
More of what I see out of you now is it's not just Brandon sitting in a chair at a computer. I can
That's what it was before. That's Brandon sitting in a chair at a computer.
That was the simple way of looking at it. And the way I see it
I had
now,
no skills.
The way I see it now is, you're at your desk, you're working, and I can see everything that you're doing. I know that people, I don't know who they are, but I know that you're helping people. So I know you're helping the people, and and you're dedicated to what you do, and
I'm dedicated
really
to the people. You do? You admire me?
Your dedication has always been something that I've admired.
I'm admirable?
Yes.
Wow. That's actually pretty cool that you said that. And on camera, so now you can't dispute it.
I won't ever dispute it.
Aw, people, did y'all hear that? She loves me. She admires me. I might kiss her. I don't know. I might kiss her. Okay. Oh. So Carol's already talking smack on us, but I'm glad she joined us, right? It's because we started 15 minutes early.
And you didn't tell her.
I didn't because I wanted to see who all could come on early. It was a trap, people. I'm a trap. Right? Okay, so for real though, let's talk about this. I feel like you are 100% more aware of me, but what do you actually know about me now that you didn't know?
Oh. Gosh, let me sort through all of this.
Oh my gosh.
So much.
Okay, well let's fine tune it just a little bit and give main highlights.
Yeah, it's been just, such an adventure.
So now you don't see me as just somebody sitting at a computer. You see that I have intelligent thought.
You're kind of like this philanthropist, I guess, for lack of a better term, because if you could, you'd do your job for free.
Yes, I do sometimes do my job for free, and that's the perk to being my own boss. I appreciate that sentiment. I don't do it, though, for the sense of pride. I do it because I deserve to do it. And you remember, I talked about earlier, you ask yourself, do I deserve this? Do I deserve to give people the tools that I gained for free? Because somebody helped me once upon a time for free, right? And so that's what originally started Sacred Groves, is somebody, whenever I was at my lowest, gave me something. They gave me their time, their appreciation, and they gave me a gift basket, right? And so that put me on the path to, this needs to be done for everybody that feels like me, and so that's how Sacred Grove started, is I will volunteer my time, my efforts, and my products, my merchandise, to make somebody's day, just to do that, because that's the thrill in it for me. To actually see a difference is exciting. And we were talking about that funny story, right? We were just talking about how fun it is for me. It's such a thrill to see the moment people become aware that I'm trans. Like, it's so fantastic, and it happens in the medical world. That's like my favorite place. So, as a trans man, periodically I have to go in and get blood work done and have my hormone levels tested, just like you, to make sure that my testosterone's on point. So you can bank on the fact that every 6 months I go to the doctor for this. Now, when I went to the doctor for this, I had a new person that does the vitals. I don't know if she's a CNA or what she is, okay? But the nurse, I'm going to say the nurse. So the nurse that was checking me in and taking my vitals and all that stuff had the question, have you had any surgeries? To which I have had many, many surgeries, okay? And one of those surgeries involves a tubal ligation. And a C-section, right?
Right, this story.
So yes. I've had a C-section and a tubal ligation. So I'm here and I'm telling her the surgeries that I have. And she's typing right along, and she stops, full stop, when I say C-section. I had already said tubal ligation, okay? So I had said that, and she looked like she was scanning a list, probably because she thought that I was nuts because I was a man thinking I had a tubal ligation, right? So I'm sure that there was a drop-down menu that she had to choose from, and she couldn't find it. So she made some quick notes, probably. Like I said, this dude's crazy. Yeah. So then she keeps going and asking me these questions, and I'll say C-section, and she goes to type it. And at that moment, it was full stop. And she just stared at the screen for a minute. Now,
you're just saying stuff.
Right, like... Am I being pranked, or punked, or whatever it is?
Sausage fingers.
So she stops and she collects herself for a second, and she looks dead at me, and she goes, "Oh, Beth is your wife, right?" And goes, "Oh, I know, she's come in." Like, all of a sudden, you're a celebrity, right? And I was like, ooh, I didn't know I was married to Elizabeth, Lady Elizabeth. So, she just had a couple of quick questions, But,
is it the kind of short?
Okay, yes, with dark hair.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
And so wonderfully sweet and kind, but it is so fantastic to see that moment.
God, they've been so wonderfully nice there.
They're great. But, like, there's always this spark, isn't there? Don't you love it?
I need to go to an appointment today.
Okay, I don't think that, but still. So there's 4 kids, and all of our kids are tiny people, too. So it's all a whole bunch of tiny people traveling in a pack. So we're like the tiny tribe.
Yeah, we could always have some circus music going with us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definite circus music. I hear it right now. And, so anyway, I got to witness that moment of awareness, and for me, the thrill of that is equivalent to somebody jumping out and scaring you. It's like Alex used to love doing that. She used to love scaring people, and she would get this strange thrill from it. I get that thrill when I see awareness. So the moment you started to become aware of me, I started to feel that spark, that thrill, and it was almost like we were like young. Like newlyweds. But even when we were newlyweds, I didn't feel that way. I was paranoid as crap when we weren't newlyweds, because we found out shortly after we were married, we were having a baby.
Yeah. Surprise.
So it's like, no. So yes, folks, it can happen on birth control. I'm just saying. Ortho-tricycline, not so bueno. So we had...
He was supposed to be.
He absolutely was, and I have no regrets. So here we had him, and we continued the trend because we didn't learn what it caused the first time. Wasn't that annoying for you when somebody you'd say, oh, my wife's pregnant again, and they'd be like, you know what causes that, don't you?
Gee whiz, what is it?
Man, as if I wanted to talk to you anyway about it in the first place, and now you're going to say that? Yeah, right. Okay. There you go. I am more aware of your emotional needs now. I was not aware of your emotional needs before, and I can promise you, I don't forget that now. I don't forget that you are more maintenance than I am.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know, so
kind of needy.
well, I don't think that it's needy. I legitimately think that you just lack self care for so long. You need an example, so you need help sometimes. You know, and the reality of the situation is we all need help sometimes. We just won't admit it. So it actually takes courage to admit that you're not doing so well, right?
Yeah.
So own that. Own your courage, you know, of saying I need help because you did that. And as you became aware, I started to get a little thrill. The spark came back. And so now we're learning a lot about each other. And we've been talking about our past a lot lately. I kept so much from you. Like, I didn't realize how much I didn't share with you. And it's all because most of it was ego pride. You know, I was ashamed. But then again, you look at my story and it seems like fiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
There was
for real.
one time I was meeting with the and explaining everything. I was like, our life's kind of stranger than fiction right now.
And that's the truth. I find that I'm giving that explanation to people all the time. Do you? I mean, do you say that more often than not?
Uh, um, I just usually throw out a monsters analogy. That kind of does the trick.
Like how Alex is totally Marilyn.
Oh yeah, she's the normie.
And what's
super smart though, so super smart.
Yeah, and she's
pretty.
Yeah, and she used to say to us, "I don't have to be smart. I'm cute."
Yeah.
She said that to us when she was young, and I shut that shit down quick, fast, in a hurry. And she knows now that she has to have some intellect, but she also is doing band, so she has intellect and commitment.
Yeah.
She's a very driven, determined kid, and I appreciate her, you know, and what she adds to the family, you know. And Quentin on his and one girl. It takes a team of boys to balance out the girl. That's what I'm trying to say, and Quentin is the head honcho of that. So he is the one who has to even everyone out. So he's in charge of the little boys. And that sometimes is the blind leading the blind, isn't it? Because boys have a lot of action and not a lot of thought. And they get that, unfortunately, from me. So I am more aware now of what my cycle is because of them. Because all I have to do is watch the boys and their behavior. Right? Because they have the masculine energy like I do. And there was something that was separating Quentin. And I couldn't ever figure out what it was. Why is Quentin all of a sudden the leader whenever he's the one that sometimes seems worse equipped?
Right.
You know?
I mean, I see that as a solid effort.
Right.
Coming from him.
But, you know, and it's only because he carries a diagnosis of autism. He has worked very, very hard. He is high functioning. And so we didn't always trust the fact that he was capable. And
yes.
I am now more aware that he's capable because we give him a chance to try it out. But he recently came to us exploring the possibilities for himself of transitioning. And he's always been that way. We just never questioned anything. You know, I never questioned with him what his orientation or his gender was. I just let him live his life, just like the rest of the kids.
Right.
Doesn't matter what they wear or how they act. It's who they are, and I don't question where they are. And it's up to them to talk about it. So he never did talk about it until recently, and he has decided that that's what he's going to do. And I'm not changing pronouns, and I'm not changing name until he is ready to declare himself.
Right.
Right? So that's why I'm not switching pronouns yet. He is, though, going by Q right now. So I do need to be mindful of that. But that in itself caused a little bit of a disruption between us for a while. We weren't communicating as well. We were a little bit disengaged because we were dealing with separate issues. As Quentin was trying to kind of find his freedom, we were wrapped up in our own transitions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so it kind of falls to the wayside. But now that we're more aware. How are you feeling about that? About just the possibility of having a kid transition?
I'm nervous for him. It's tough. It's very tough. But he's strong. He really is. I think the kids are a lot stronger than we were at their age as far as how they can process things. I mean, he's doing things his own way, and he's dressing how he wants to dress, the way that makes him comfortable and happy, and for that, I applaud him because it's very difficult, to try to just be comfortable with the constant, barrage of trendy society.
I don't quite get that. Talk more about that. I don't quite understand what you mean by that.
Because, now, especially with all the multimedia we have available to us, and all the access that is practically nonstop, advertisers are saying, buy this, look at this, drink this, eat this, and that seems like a lot more pressure than maybe we had, because all we had was maybe what was on TV at the time or a magazine. That was before the internet was, a household thing. And thinking about it now, it's like, they have the double the pressure and they can see through it better than we would have, in our own time.
Right, and they're held accountable for it more than we were. We weren't held accountable for our actions when we were young or what we were declaring. We could lie on applications and never be found out because they didn't check IDs, they didn't check Social Security.
It's so hard to be dishonest now.
So as a matter of fact, that's how I worked in Amarillo. Whenever I lived in Amarillo, I worked at IHOP and I was 14, and I worked there as a 16-year-old, so I could get the hours, right? Okay, so, and then my manager helped me lie and say that I was actually 18, that they just got it wrong. That way I could work overnight in doubles. So we could do that. I never once was asked for my Social Security card. I just filled out.
You have no rights as an employee.
Right. I just filled out my form and all that shit on my own time and sent that in. So it's like, wow, you could get away with that shit back then. Now you have social media that tells your bondsman where the hell you are, so they can send Dog the Bounty Hunter after your ass. Because I've seen that shit.
Dog.
Right? Yeah. You've seen, he looks on social media and then he goes after you.
Yep.
So.
It'd be like, this idiot just posted.
Right. So it's like accountability, people, for real. That is accountability. And you have it instant now. Like, you can't even take a photo and cut the face out and put your face on it. You do it in Photoshop, right? So we used to, back in the day, have to cut out somebody's face 3 days after we took the picture, cut out somebody's face and hodgepodge it into another picture. We had to do that with our skills. You had to actually be skilled at using a knife, first of all, an X-Acto knife, which I was not. So if you possess the skill, you could make a fake ID, right?
Nowadays it's just going to take some software.
Yeah.
Some pirated software.
But now, because you do it with software, now they have all these extra things that leave paper trails, so you can't get away with it. And if you do get away with it, it's because you know somebody that knows somebody that doesn't narc. And it takes the fall for you, So, it's a crazy world that we live in, and I'm proud of all of our kids. And I think it's sort of spectacular that they get to go through everything. They get to go through this crazy quarantine. They get to go through the friggin' different presidents. They got to see a black president in there. They get to see a female first what?
And a clown.
We don't do that, Beth.
Right.
That's wrong.
You're right.
But I think that it's a kind of cool time to be alive, even though it's a hard time. because you only know you're growing if something is challenging you.
Yeah.
Do you think that we're evolving as people, as a
Yes.
civilization, as society?
I do. And I see it in our kids, you know, and it was just when they got to a certain age, I started to realize how fast they started picking things up, and seeing how they're doing these days, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do when they're grown, and then what their kids are going to do. Maybe we'll be around long enough to see something.
Oh, I plan to be. My dad's 80. I got to outlive him. So who knows? You know, he's probably going to live at 10 or 20 more years. So that shit stacks up because he's about to get a pacemaker, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if he does, that's supposed to give him, you know, extra piss and vinegar.
Yeah.
That's going to be exciting because then we're going to have all Grandpa's ideas.
How many projects are going to get done?
Oh, God. My head's going to explode. Okay.
Oh, the conversations.
Yes, I do want to get to the question. Carol bowed out. She's not watching us right now because we started too early.
Oh.
And so now she feels like she would have to catch up. So the whole reason why I started early was because I set the announcement out an hour ago. And if you were a dedicated fan, right, you would be on. But I didn't want Carol to be on because I know she's a dedicated fan, and I wanted initially to say some stuff to see if she could catch up and get that. I'll explain to you later.
Yeah, I'm
and
confused.
she'll have to figure it out. It's kind of one of those
I'm always confused.
Easter eggs. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. So I planned something very carefully, and so now she's not going to watch. I'm a little bit sad. So now it won't make any sense, but that's okay. On that note, I want to talk about Mandy real quick because I was just talking to Mandy, and I said, I'm going to talk about you on the podcast, and I'm probably going to talk about how skinny you are. I am more aware now of how skinny she is because we don't see each other as often.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think that when you're away from somebody for a while, you're more aware of who they are, or do you think you're less aware? Because we have that experience.
I think that when you encounter them again, you become aware at, you know, how aware of them you were before when you see the change.
What? That's just
like,
as confusing as what I just said.
No, it makes perfect sense. Just
Try again. Hit me. Tell me.
Oh, God, can I say it again? That was kind
I
of
don't
confusing.
know. I couldn't hear it.
Why?
Okay. Because I didn't understand it. It did not go in and stay. Okay.
Okay. So, it's kind of like, okay, when I went to basic training, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were isolated from everything, from the world. We were completely in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were getting ready to be done with basic and go on leave before we went to our first unit, they said, okay, you know, time for a counseling session. Guess what, people? The world has moved since you were in here, and it has moved a lot, and you just don't realize it yet. So don't freak out when you get home and you see how much has changed. And so when I got home and I saw how much had changed, I realized how much I hadn't noticed before. Like how aware I was then versus what I am now. And it's like, it's just kind of, it's sort of humbling, really, because it's like, God, I really...
Give me a clear example.
Okay. I
Because
think
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I think one that works for you that you'll understand is in Greenville, because it's a common place that we know. Whenever I left and came back, that place by the mall, that one that was left, it started out as Walmart way back when, then it turned into Bud's, I think.
Yeah, it was Bud's.
And then they became a Staples, right?
Something like that, some sort of office supply.
All right. Well, I had left, and when I left for basic, it was Bud's.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came back, it was something else. But I just can't remember what it was after Bud's.
And when you left, I was not married. And when you came back, I was married.
Yeah, you were about to be when I left. You were about to be.
Yeah, because you weren't at my wedding.
No, I was getting my ass beat.
Mm-hmm. I was too. So it was both of us. But you understand, though, that um, our awareness can't be conditional now because we have kids.
Yeah.
So we have to unconditionally.
Gotta stay present.
Yeah, because they are shady. Children are shady.
Right. Those two little mongrels. And
Oliver and Lucas.
Yeah. Piecing out.
Dingus and Wingus.
Find out they've been, up the street at their friend's house and never told us, it's like, what are you doing out of the house? You gotta at least tell us that you're leaving. You can go, that's fine. Just let us know that you've gone.
Yeah, and that's awareness right there. All of a sudden now we have to look for our children, whereas before we knew that they would be at home because they couldn't go anywhere. And now they're mobile
they're
and
on their
aware.
Bikes and
yeah,
they're all over town.
They're like figuring it out, and you can't stand it.
No.
And I
can't
paranoid.
stop them though. I have to let them go.
Yeah, I have to talk about that all the time.
Can't be the helicopter parent I used to be.
No, because oh my god,
bittersweet.
You had humbling earlier.
Yeah, that's recognizing the amount of change, that has happened from one point to another, and how much I've changed, and and I can look at it and say I've actually grown.
I think you've gotten prettier.
Oh, I definitely think I'm much prettier than I used to be.
A lot less hairy. Yeah, that's a bonus, right? You're not big on the body hair.
No.
And then here I am.
I like your body hair, though. Your body hair is fine with me.
You must, because there's plenty of it. So, on the line of acknowledging and knowing and being aware of who our friends are, right? What they do. I was talking about Mandy.
Yes.
And we hadn't seen her for a while, and then I see her again, and she's dropped a significant amount of weight. And I look at her now, and I just see skinny, because that's who she's become, That was her goal, and she made it happen, and I'm super proud of her. But it's odd. It takes me aback for a moment. I have to recognize her again. So I have to readjust and say, who is this person? Did you have to do that with me? Did you have to readjust and go, who is this person? Because you had been disassociated for a while. Yeah. And more importantly, you were deployed. And so when you came home, here you had a whole different person. You left me, I wasn't pregnant, you came back, and the seed had been planted and grown while you were away.
Yeah. Lucas the Leaf, baby.
Yes, the R&R baby. Thank you, Bush, for those extra 2 days. That's when it happened.
Yeah.
Because he extended you 2 days. So
sure did. That was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a good 2 days.
Clearly, it was. It was a grand old time, because then we had Lucas. So when you came back, I was totally different.
Yeah. Deployments are definitely one of those things that's where life goes on, and you're kind of in a vacuum.
Right. That's what we talked about. So
and I was in there, for a year and a half?
Right.
Or a year and 12, 15 months?
Yeah. So you can think about, right. You can think about your deployment as disassociation, extended, because you come home and you were still over there.
Yeah, it was for a long time.
And when you first recognized me, what is your first real recall of who I was? When did you notice me? What was your personality check? What were you gauging me on?
Wow.
I feel like you were judging me on who I was when you weren't there.
What do you mean?
Like, I feel like when you came home, you were judging me on everything I did while you were gone.
Oh, right. Maybe because I didn't know the new routines and things that had been going on. I was gone. I was trying to reintegrate into society and, our house. I mean, it's not like I was in prison or anything like that, but, just the world is so much different.
I moved like twice while you were downrange.
Yeah. And then, you moved from that one to next door, and then when I got back, we ended up moving to the other one in Piazza Ridge.
Yeah, because we lived at Fort Bragg, and Fort Bragg, when you change rank, you change neighborhoods. That's one. And they were remodeling while we were there.
Yeah, we had to move him, and I think we upsized when we got Lucas. That's why we got the Piazza Ridge place, because we had one more bedroom.
Yeah. That was an experience being at Fort Bragg. But that's in the rearview mirror, and we say now we are more aware of each other's tolerance.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the people that I met
to be
there,
independent.
I would just be easily forget Fort Bragg. But the people that I met there really, really made the experience.
Yeah,
and the people that we met that we are still in contact with today.
And that's what's amazing, because we wouldn't have Miss Carol in our lives if we weren't there.
True story.
And she is a very important contributing factor to our family. And love her to pieces, and she'll be here soon. I'm more aware of who she is now because she's come and visited a couple times. I'm more aware of who I am and who I was to her because we have conversations. This is how it went down. She was our ABA therapist, and during the time that I came out to transition. And so here she's working with our kids, and I had to come out to her first because she was
I remember
kind of integrated into our family.
Yeah,
and I was
so scared.
God, what is she going to say? She's going to judge me, because to me she was a professional and I was a peon, and here I had to tell her that I was this weird thing, right? So I said, hey, Carol, I said, when you finish up here, I need to have a talk with you. And what I didn't know until most recently was she thought that I was going to fire her.
Oh.
So in her mind, I was going to fire her.
Right.
And so we sat down at the table, and I was like, I need to tell you something. And that something is I'm trans, and I'm going to be transitioning. And she laughed. And I remember going, oh my God, she's laughing at me. Why the fuck is she laughing at me? And she's like, that's it. She's like, I thought you had found out that I'm a lesbian. And so the whole time she's there, I had no idea about her personally, and she had no idea about me personally, because our awareness of each other's personal lives wasn't really there. Because what we were sharing was the kids' education and the kids' development. And so we have a history with the kids, raising the kids. She was with us for a while. We've been away now 7 years. And, but she's always stayed in contact, and she's always kept up with the kids. So we continue to co-parent, when she gets here, it's going to be interesting to learn a new her and her to learn a new us, right?
Yeah.
Because despite visiting, it's not like being around someone all the time. You're aware now of how adorable I am, and you were not aware of that. I was not adorable to you before, because one thing that you said that you were worried about when I transitioned was, I'm not attracted to men. You declared, you're not attracted to men. That's all there was to it. You couldn't do it. And so your awareness of yourself now is that it wasn't really whether you're attracted to men or not. It's you weren't attracted to that type of man, which was a very aggressive man.
Yeah, there was a period of change, that we've gone through individually as we, progress on.
Now I'm a big squishy teddy bear. Some people say soy boy, and I'll own it. Criminy, you with the coughing.
It's COPD for you. It happens.
Yeah, you do have COPD.
But we went on our individual journeys, with hormones, and at separate times, and that kind of goes back to that deal about things have changed a little bit. I'm not as rigid as I used to be.
I don't think you're as rigid as you used to be, but I also think that you still have kind of some inflexible thinking.
Yeah.
To where it's very judgmental and black and white. And I think that you're getting over it, but I'm more aware of what you can tolerate. Cause I said, you're shit because you're driving me crazy. That was my OCD at its worst. I would agree. I wouldn't want to have lived with me. But you look at yourself.
I think
Do
I
you
said
think?
you need help for it. I don't
Mm-mm.
think I told you to get over it. That's a hard thing for anybody to get over.
But you didn't know it was OCD at the time. That's my point, you know? You weren't aware at the time, you're aware now. What was the first, when did you first realize that my OCD was actual OCD?
Well, I didn't. I didn't. I mean, as soon as you told me, I realized
Right,
that's what
but
it
you
was.
used to toy with
Yeah,
me.
and it was in that moment when I can recall how you reacted, and even though I was ignorant to why you were doing it in the moment, I still recall the movements in the moment, and so
My knees are
then when I
killing me.
learned that, yeah, you do have OCD, I was like, right, I'm an asshole.
Yeah, you totally felt like an asshole because you used to tease me with it, you know, and you didn't know. So when did you first realize that it was a thing that was not positive? That wasn't fun for me?
Um, I think it was probably whenever you get there was a point I think when we lived in Campbell that you would get really stressed out. I don't remember it happening in Austin, but it doesn't mean it didn't.
Right.
Um,
I asked about your
but
first awareness.
it would be during an OCD meltdown that I saw. And I was like, okay, this is for real. This is not. I mean, I knew it was for real before, but this is not.
You were in the shit.
Yeah, this isn't something that's just as easily manageable. This is something that's pretty serious.
Did you feel like you had the skills to help me?
No, I didn't.
Do
Because yeah, it's a neurological condition. I don't understand it. I don't know how it works.
do you remember what in particular it was that I was doing that alerted you?
Um, gosh, I remember it was at the house in Campbell, and I don't remember what it was about though. I mean, there was a lot going on at the time. You know, I was working at juvenile, then I was working at SciTech, and then I was in the military again. And I think that drove your stress levels up so high that you started to melt down. And I don't think it was about a particular thing that somebody set you off. I think it was the stress that set you off, and everything became a problem at once.
Yeah, I got you. I can remember pieces of that, you know, because whenever I'm in one of those OCD moments, nothing else exists. It can't. That's the disengagement, you know, that's where I go. Just like where you go, you know, back to Iraq, or you go, you know, back to your childhood. It's the same for me. I just choose an escape route that is OCD. I choose a way to self-soothe, which is to have these compulsions satisfied. So I repeat behaviors and things like that. And like I started this podcast saying that I hid a lot from you. I didn't really realize how much I hid from you until you started to talk about it with other people. I remember the first time that I heard you talking about me living in the hills. And you actually said that. You said I lived in the hills of Missouri.
Yeah, like I lived in the hills of Tennessee.
Right. And when you said that, all of a sudden, I became the person that you didn't like. Because you didn't like yourself when you lived in the hills of Tennessee.
Yeah,
You
but Tennessee didn't have
like
anything to do with it.
Right, but nonetheless, you had an idea in your head of what that was. And you shared it freely with me. And so sharing it freely with me meant that when you equated me with it, that's what you thought about me.
Yeah, and that was my level of awareness then, is that was that, you know, I could just say whatever thing and it wouldn't matter because it's just an opinion of mine. Everybody has their own opinions. I didn't think that,
yeah.
you know, anything I would say would actually, you know, have some sort of reflective effect on whoever it was I was talking to.
That's what awareness actually is, though, right? Awareness is gaining the understanding that everything that you do has an effect on the greater good. It doesn't matter if what you do is negative or positive. Somebody sees it, whether it's the plant next to you or whether it's the moon or whether it's a person. Somebody, somewhere, something has witnessed what you are, who you are, right? So you have to be mindful of who you are internally so you don't manifest that externally, right? So when you feel like a nervous wreck inside, I can tell because you're a nervous wreck externally, right? So what do you think my OCD habits tell you about me? If externally I'm fussing with everything and trying to make everything perfect and lined up and aesthetic, what do you think I feel internally?
Chaos.
Yeah, like I have to have some kind of control over something because I have no control over anything else. That's what my mind tells me. I know that's not true now, but a lot of us run to addiction. You know, I did too. I was dependent on a crap ton of stuff. And now I'm not dependent on everything. You know, I'm not dependent on narcotics. I'm not dependent, on opiates. I smoke weed. I'm not dependent on any pharmaceuticals, which I was. I was totally dependent on pharmaceuticals in order just to make it through my day. I talked about being on antidepressants. I had postpartum depression really bad. You were on antidepressants for a while.
Yeah.
And how did those work for you? And be honest.
It was like I was numb. I couldn't, nothing affected me. I mean, it kind of turned me into a zombie. I could function, I could do things, but, the world was subdued.
And that was your experience. It's not necessarily everyone's, but
Right.
That was yours, right? And I don't want to name what the medication was, but you were on it and you didn't like it and you didn't think that there was another alternative ever to help you to re-engage. I remember you talking about that. You said, I'm just always going to be like this, just like everyone else, and you're going to have to deal with it. You told me that. You're like, you're going to have to deal with this. It comes with being in the military.
Yeah, I couldn't see my way out of it at the time.
Yeah, and I refused to accept it, and I had hope, and I had faith. And hope and faith led us here. So here we are, engaged with each other, right? And that really means that's what we are. We're engaged. We plan to renew our vows on our 20th. And what that's going to look like is us actually remarrying, the right way, the proper way,
Yes.
So I will not have to wear a wedding dress. Woo! I might, though, just for shits and giggles. We'll see. Wouldn't that be something? Get married in our same wedding attire.
Yeah, not.
But anyway, I can promise you this. I'm not going down the aisle to the Imperial March this time. I love you, but that was so lame. You're adorable, though.
That wasn't me.
Oh, that was you.
No,
that
it wasn't.
Oh, that was you.
That
I'm
was
not
James.
even. I'm not. Oh no. James created you, so you need to
I've
remember
always
that.
been inside. James
You
was on
have.
the outside.
But James's experience is what has shaped Beth's life, and that's what you got to realize. So you can't deny it any more than I can deny, stripper name Brandy. That was my stripper name. That's what I say. Because, at that point, I didn't give a shit about myself.
Yeah.
I knew what boobs were for, and I knew how to use them. And that's
unfortunate.
It is. That's the unfortunate truth. Whenever you learn that early on, that's what your value is, you tend to just stick with your value. Just like you knew your value was military. You knew that you could engage in an obligation and remain loyal. You had integrity whenever it came to a mission, right? And so that's what you are. You are integrity to the mission. You're very principle-oriented. And apparently I'm just trampy. I share myself with everyone. Not so much physically as much as I do with my effort, right? I do. I share my effort with anybody who wants to hear it.
Right.
Like right now.
Exactly.
During
I was
this
just
podcast.
about to say, just like now.
Right? So anybody who actually wants to hear me can listen. People who don't have to, because I'm not dependent on whether somebody listens or not. I'm dependent on whether I listen or not. All right? We sometimes don't listen to ourselves.
Yeah.
We're about to listen to ourselves and ask a question.
Yeah. Is it question time?
It's question time. Okay, these are would you rathers.
Oh no, I hate these.
I know. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it upside down. Okay, and you can pick whatever. So you pick.
You
Pick
remember
out
what
the
happened
stack.
the last time?
Just pick it and I'll stick it. Better make it a good one. No whammies, no whammies. You have to read it.
It's a weekend experiment.
No, why are you doing a weekend experiment?
I said, do you want me to do it this way? Do you
From
remember what
this-
happened last time? And exactly the same thing happened again.
Okay, here. Okay, look. From here down. So, I'll just put them out because
All right.
you're stressing me out. You're killing me.
Shut up.
Killing me.
All right, here we go again.
Go for it. Don't bait.
What is your pet peeve and why?
My pet peeve? I have so many, y'all, because I have OCD. So I have a million pet peeves. Foot touching. That's number one. Don't touch your feet around me. Don't touch them. Don't touch mine. Don't do anything with feet. I can't deal with feet. That's pet peeve. No feet. So anybody who touches their feet is going to annoy me.
Wow, pet peeves. You know what a pet peeve of mine is?
Tell me.
Having to put a sign up around the house in various places to get people to do the right thing.
That's the lack of integrity.
Don't throw trash in here. This is for cans only.
I could see that as a pet peeve because it's also one of mine. Another one of mine is people who don't put up crap that they get out. And when you have 4 kids, an old man and a wife, all you have is your own space.
You have a lived-in home.
You have your own space. You just drill out a hole somewhere and just live there because that's what I did. This is my space. I do everything here. Well, almost everything. I don't go to the bathroom in here. There's no bathroom. So I do have a bathroom. Okay, so that was that one.
You gonna pick another one?
Yeah. Ooh, we've done that one. I can't do that one.
Yay.
Wow. Okay. Would you rather live in a fake world where everything is perfect and nothing changes without ever knowing that it's fake?
Matrix.
Or escape from the fake world and live in a real world that is harsh, dangerous, and unpredictable?
The
Why?
Matrix.
If you don't stop comparing every single thing I do to a movie,
No, it was what you were reading.
just answer. So would you rather
Oh, wow.
live in a
Okay.
fake world where everything's perfect and nothing changes without knowing it's fake, or escape from a fake world, so obviously you know it's fake, and live in
Yeah.
the real world that's harsh, dangerous, and unpredictable?
If you don't know it's fake, then you're going to be fully ignorant to everything, and so it's not going to matter.
So ignorance is bliss in that case, right?
Right. But on the case that I did know it was fake, then I would probably...
Lesson in making... That's what I tell people. That's why I've made so many mistakes in my life, because I really value learning. So I intentionally screw up so I can learn the lesson, people. That's what I say. That's not really true, but I'll go with it. Okay, so that's our take on that. And if anybody were watching, they could comment. But when you do watch, you can still comment. I'll read it. Now we're going to get to actual real questions. So we
Those aren't
asked...
the real question.
No, we asked would you rather question. So, would the world be a better or worse place if everyone looked the same?
Right.
And why?
Diversity.
You know I do love my diversity.
Well, it seems logical from a Vulcan perspective.
Oh my God,
If
you are
everybody
not
was the
going
same,
there.
then you couldn't have something like, racial difference or something like that.
Wow.
But, I'm sure that, people being people find something to discriminate about. I couldn't imagine the world being any way different than it is now. The diversity is... I'd definitely rather have the diversity.
That's it? You'd just rather have diversity? That's just your answer?
Yeah, because everybody has a right to live and be who they are.
Right. Okay, so... I think that it would be... Okay, so see, this is the problem for me. Because I have an OCD brain. So my OCD brain tells me that I would really like everything to be the same and everybody to look the same. That's what I really want. I want everybody to live naked. To me, that's everyone being the same. Shed the clothes and you're all the same. Shed the ego, you're all the same, right? So when I think about that, I would love to live in a world where everyone is equal. Not the same, but equal, right? So everybody is equally vulnerable, but we all have our unique freckles, right? So really, not everybody would be the same, but they would be all the same station.
Well, they wouldn't be. Well, the question sounds like, though, would they be identical? If everybody was identical, is that the way you?
It says, would the world be a better or worse place if everyone looked the same, right? So looking at someone, you can look at the cover. Like I'm wearing Deadpool, it says tacos, right? So this is what I'm wearing. So you can form a judgment around that, right? So basically that's diversity. Can you form a judgment around that? People will form a judgment around anything, even if you shed your ego, your clothes, even if you shed that style. People can still judge you on how many freckles you have or how many hairs you have, right? Mm-hmm. So really, even if everyone looked the same, you would still judge them because you would still judge yourself because you wouldn't have any diversity.
Yeah, it would have to be
so
something
you would want something different.
It would have to be something that somebody did that would become, the whole focus. It's not about what you look like now. It's about what you do in your station in life.
Right. And
which is, a real thing today.
Right. And so for me, if everyone were naked, we would all be the same. And if we were all the same, then we could all coexist. So just everybody be naked and live in a community where you can barter, where you can put together your community based on effort. And I sound like a total flippin' hippie. Just saying, this hippie's wearing a Deadpool shirt. So really, how hippie am I? I do have an earring that my daughter Alexandria, her friend Livia, made. And so shout out to Livia. I'm done talking. I'm ready to get on with date night. So whoever's listening out there, I hope that you were entertained by a few stories and some questions and such and such. And next time I won't start the podcast early. I did it and I shouldn't have. But I did it for a reason. I did it for a special reason. It was important.
It's not like I've never forgotten anything.
Oh my God, I didn't forget anything. You need to shut up.
Oh, you didn't forget. Okay, that's right.
I didn't.
You did the explanation, I remember.
Yeah, you just didn't
I'm not
think
that
about
medicated.
It. Oh, Lord. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you being present and aware and engaged in sharing and subscribing and doing everything that you need to do. It helps me help you and help her. Right? It helps you. Because look at you. You hid away from people for so long, and now here you are live.
Yeah, honestly.
And hacking.
I'm going to hack on camera and in the microphone.
COPD,
I remember when we first talked about doing the podcast business. And
you were like, nope.
I'm not going to be on it. I'll help you edit it if you want, but I'm not going to be on it.
Hey, look, we match.
Kind of.
I didn't even notice that until literally right now. That is my awareness. Look at that.
This is more of a fuchsia.
Oh my God. It looks red on camera. Okay, guys. I really appreciate everybody. Truly, truly, honestly. And thank you. And you know that's not how I finish this, right? I never finish my podcast like that. All quiet.
Yeah.
Thank you.